Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. We're going to do a quick-hitting Friday edition for you, so let's get to it. We'll start things off with college athletics, something that I've been noticing, and it benefits some schools, it doesn't benefit some schools, but I honestly think that there needs to be some sort of change in the rule that allows these fifth-year eligibility cases, simply because I don't know, it's opening up another recruiting angle that just seems to keep college sports in that kind of negative light. Everett Golson right now, he is looking to transfer away from the University of Notre Dame. He will be immediately eligible no matter where he goes. Look, I don't like putting limits on these kids. If they are within the rules and want to go to another school and play right away, then that's just the way it is. But the bottom line is, it feels like you're going to get situations, and we haven't had a flood of these yet, but it feels like eventually, if you keep having these happen, that you're going to get situations where schools are going to recruit specific kids just to take them away from a certain school, and they may have no intention of ultimately playing that kid. And you'll sit there and say, well, that's just not going to happen, that people wouldn't do that. Well, people are looking for any kind of competitive advantage that they can get. So if all of a sudden Michigan says, oh, well, we need to keep that kid away from Ohio State. We don't need a quarterback, but we'll tell him that we're going to play him just so Ohio State doesn't pick him up. You don't think that could happen? I think changes need to be at least looked at in those situations. Hey, congratulations go out to the Chicago Blackhawks. They ended up sweeping the Minnesota Wild and looked very dominant in doing so, except for probably the last 3 or 4 minutes of the third period in last night's game. But the point that unfortunately it brings up to people in my area, and maybe they won't agree with what I'm saying, but basically, how does that make the Blues look? The team that just kicked your butts pretty much up and down the ice except for 1 or 2 games just got swept. That shows you how bad the St. Louis Blues played. And I'm not taking any credit away from the Minnesota Wild. They played the kind of hockey that they needed to play to win that series. But the St. Louis Blues let that series slip away. And the sweep against the Chicago Blackhawks is a perfect example. The Chicago Blackhawks may have still knocked off the St. Louis Blues. But I can guarantee you, if the Blues played Blues hockey against the Minnesota Wild consistently and for 60 minutes every single game, the Blues would have been playing the Chicago Blackhawks, and it would have been an entirely different series. The Chicago Blackhawks, as I said, they played so well in that series. They may still have knocked off St. Louis, but to me it just is another example of how poorly St. Louis did and how little effort was really put in over the stretch of that series to knock off Minnesota, in terms of the way Minnesota just got knocked out so easily by the Blackhawks. Deflategate Part 2 now, as this one just doesn't seem to want to go away, and quite frankly, it just needs to go away. I'm tired of it. I did an entire show yesterday on what I think of how it affects Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's legacy, which is basically, I don't. Sadly, regardless of what you think of cheating, and it is wrong, it shouldn't be allowed, you shouldn't be teaching younger people that this is something that you want to do. But on the flip side, they have won so many games, they have done so well on the field, that I don't necessarily think it negates everything that they've done. On the flip side, the agent and basically everybody in their brother, well, I should say father, because that was the one who made a big comment out of it too, They are not letting this die, having to do with Tom Brady. His agent, his father, they're saying that this is some sort of sting operation and that everybody in the league has it in for the Patriots and Tom Brady. Are you kidding me? Tom Brady and the Patriots are good for the NFL. If nothing happened at all, or they could sweep this under the rug, they would gladly do so, because that means that something did happen, because there's absolutely no reason for the NFL to go after their golden boy and to sit there and say that this is a sting operation and they're looking to defame Tom Brady. That is ultimately ridiculous. And they want to go on all these talk shows and try to defend their person, and I completely understand that. They have a reason to. It's their son, it's their agent, the meal ticket, if you want to call it that, with David Yee. But just come on, use some common sense. It's okay to defend your son. It's okay to defend your client. But to sit there and say that the NFL is doing some sort of Illuminati crap here, looking to take Tom Brady down, there's absolutely no reason that they would ultimately want to do that. Get over it. Let the story die. If Tom Brady would have just come out, admitted it, and apologized right when it happened, this would all be over. So this is ultimately Tom Brady's fault, whether he did something bad or whether he just wants to just cover his name up. Just let it die. We're all sick of it. Even Patriot haters don't want to hear about this crap anymore. The last thing I'll touch on today is PED use in baseball, specifically sports in general. But because A-Rod just broke 4th place with Willie Mays, as my brain just kind of seems to be slowing down a little bit here. He now has 661 home runs, and basically nobody cares. And quite frankly, nobody should. I'm torn on this issue because I've been around the steroid culture, and I know what workouts and what effort still has to be put in to do certain activities, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's athletic endeavors. Injecting yourself with a needle in and of itself will not make you a better baseball player. A-Rod is still one of the better baseball players of all times in terms of pure talent. Putting a needle in your butt isn't going to change that. It's going to give you more strength. It's going to give you a little bit more stamina, depending on what kind he took, because that's what people don't realize. They just lump everything into steroids. There are multiple kinds out there. But on the other hand, he cheated. And this goes back to the kind of the Patriots thing. Whether or not you think it helped him very much or not at all, he did cheat. He went around the rules to unlevel the field of competition. And Jason Stark basically put it very well for ESPN. He just tweeted something out. Baseball numbers used to be the coolest in all of sports. Now basically they're kind of meaningless. And for at least, I'd say, the next decade, they're probably all going to be meaningless, because everybody is going to have that taint about them, whether they're innocent or not. A-Rod is obviously not innocent. I still say that you have to be a supremely talented baseball player to hit that many home runs, regardless of whether you took steroids or not, because simply putting a needle in your body and injecting oils with synthetic testosterone in it is not going to make you have better hand-eye coordination. It's not going to make you hit the baseball any more often. It will simply make you hit it farther. So that many hits would have still happened. That many home runs may have not. But ultimately, baseball has been brought down several levels, because one of the all-time great numbers in terms of home runs, whether it's per season or all time, have now been tainted and really don't mean a whole lot. That'll wrap up today's View from the Midwest. What is your view on some of the topics that we talked about today? Comment, rate, and subscribe. Leave us a thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, share it around with your friends. And until the next time, I'll see you then.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that without care.